What's up, guys? I'm Sarah Fonger, and I'm a videographer, photographer based out of Ontario, Canada. This video is going to be a little bit different than the other videos that I've made on my channel. I thought it would be cool to start a series here where I tell the story behind one of the photos that I've created. I'll also share the technical details of the photo, such as time of day, focal length, aperture, ISO, etc. For my first video in this series, I wanted to pick one of my favorite photos from one of my favorite places that I've traveled, which is Yosemite National Park. This is a photograph from what I believe is Yosemite Falls. So around this time of my life, I was working and living in North Carolina. I had decided that I wanted to go on a road trip for a few months to see the west coast of the US because I'd never been there before. So I sort of built a bed in my car, packed everything up, and then set off, which is like normal road trip things, I guess. Anyways, it turned out that one of my friends from college was going to be in San Francisco around the same time that I was going to be in that rough area. He had campsites booked in San Francisco, Yosemite, and Sequoia, and he was planning on traveling to these places. But some of his plans ended up falling through, and he couldn't get a rental car, so he actually wasn't able to get to any of these places anymore. So he reached out to me, and I felt like I wanted to go to these places with him because I thought that it would be really fun. So I picked him up at the San Francisco airport. Now Nick is like a really, really tall guy. And there was a bed in my car sort of taking up most of the back seat. The only available seats were the driver's seat and the seat behind that one. However, I'd sort of taken out the seat part of the back seat to make more room for the bed. So basically, whoever had to sit in the back seat had to sit on a pillow because otherwise they would be sitting on the metal bench part that is normally under a car seat. There still was a seatbelt back there, so it was basically still a functioning, safe seat. You just had to make sure you were sitting on something or else your butt would hurt really bad. So I think Nick preferred to be driving because it allowed him a normal amount of space for his legs. But we did have to switch out every so often because the back seat was just so uncomfortable for anyone that it was hard to sit back there for an extended period of time. So I pick up Nick from the airport, we go to Taco Bell, we eat some tacos, we talk about our plans, and we decide that we want to head to Yosemite as soon as possible, just so that we can start exploring, basically. It was pretty late in the afternoon, and Nick had actually booked a campsite in San Francisco for that night, just assuming that he wouldn't want to drive after he had flown. But since there was two of us, we kind of decided there would be no problem making the 4-hour drive that day. So we leave San Francisco. I'm pretty sure it was a Friday. I'm pretty sure it was at rush hour, and traffic was absolutely nuts. And what was supposed to be a 4-hour drive turned into at least 8 hours. Neither of us were expecting an 8-hour drive, and we were both pretty tired because he had flown earlier that day, and I had driven about 3 hours to the airport to pick him up. I just remember us finally being about an hour from Yosemite, and me just like barely being awake, and Nick barely being awake, and then somehow we made it to Yosemite. I honestly can't remember if we slept in the car that night or if we slept that night. I just remember being at this waterfall as the sun was coming up and it being really cold. And we were both really tired, but we were at this really beautiful place at this really beautiful time of day, and I took a bunch of photos and they looked really cool. And I was just so hype, but also tired and cold, but also hype. So we just kind of hung out, and then we went into Yosemite and went to the visitor center and went on a hike. So anyways, that is how this photograph came to be. I shot this photo on the Canon 80D with the 24mm fixed lens, also called a pancake lens, because it looks like a pancake. 30-second shutter speed, ISO 400, and aperture f6.3. Looking back, I probably would have experimented with a 15-second shutter speed and dropping my aperture lower because I believe that lens goes to an aperture of f2.8. And I would have done that just to see what that looked like versus the 30-second. With waterfalls especially, it's nice to use that long shutter because it allows the water to be blurred instead of, like, not blurred. So that's it. This has been Story Behind the Photo Episode 1. Thank you so much for watching. If you would like to see future videos, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.